Being a single mother is definitely challenging, yet the love we have for our children inspire us to seek purpose and work towards leaving a legacy for them, which is one of the best investments of our time. Welcome to the She Means Business Master Society podcast, where we empower entrepreneurs to thrive in their journey. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship. We've faced our fair share of challenges, and that's why we've created this space. Here, we will connect with incredible guests, key figures in their fields who have navigated the ups and downs of their entrepreneurial careers. Together, we will share our experiences, insights, and tools that can help you elevate your business to new heights. So, get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the knowledge you need to succeed. Let's jump into today's episode. Comenzamos. Welcome to the She Means Business Master Society podcast. Today, we have a truly special guest who is not only a dear friend of mine, but also an inspiration to me and to many others. Her mission is to empower single mothers to build a lasting legacy, and she is here today to share her story and guide us on how we can create that legacy for our children as well. Ana Ivette Morales, bienvenida, mi amiga. How are you?
I am doing amazing. Thank you, Jackie, for having me. I love being here and being part of your mission as well. So thank you so much for inviting me to be here.
Of course. Well, I want to start with something that we were talking about behind the cameras, behind the scenes. And you were saying, tell me about your name. That was actually really cool to learn from her because I've known her for a very long time. And she just mentioned something about her name, and I want you to expand on that a little bit.
Well, my full name is Ana Ivette Morales, right? But usually like in the industry professional-wise, they know me as Ana. They call me Anita, right? But who you really want to get to know is Ivette. Because she comes out at night and, she's the fun one. She's the one that that's always looking for trouble and, always gets away with it. But
I love that. And I feel that us Latinas, we're implementing a lot using both of our names, which is magical and beautiful.
I know. Yeah. At first, I think people are, they question well, why both names, right? Like, why both names? And at first, I would always just say okay, my name is Ana, right? What is your name? Ana.
It's easier
Ana,
for everyone.
Easier, right? First name. And now it's no, my identity, right? Who I am, who I have become, it's Ana Ivette Morales, right? Morales for my dad. So now I embrace it. I embrace both because, I think I have a million personalities too. And one is the very professional, empowering business, entrepreneur. And the other one's very fun. So just the secret, right? When I started dating in the dating apps, I would put myself as Ivette. I would never put myself as Ana. So that, that's kind of that. Okay, let's make Ivette, this total different personality at night. And then let's see how it goes.
I like hanging out with both. I like hanging out with both. And one, with Ana, I learn a lot. I admire Ana. I do admire Yvette also because she's very confident. Oh. And I've seen that. And we will talk about our previous photo shoots. But first, I want you to tell people who you are, what you do. What's your story, Ana?
Well, I am a mortgage broker. I opened my company roughly 3-4 years ago in 2020. Oh my goodness, it's going to be 5 years already.
Yeah.
I do mortgage loans, so I help families achieve home ownership. And my mission, right, because I have had many homes, I know that investing in real estate is probably one of the best and safest way to build wealth. So my mission with the company is to empower families, Latino families, but also single mothers, right? That they can do it, they can build wealth, that if they do it one step at a time, it's available, it's accessible. And I want to be able to support women that they can support their kids, right? Even if they're not single, let's say they're in a relationship, but maybe they're in a relationship that's not working for them. And the only reason why they're there, it's because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the tools, or they don't know how to create money. Then let's give them that information so they can become independent and they can take care of their family. I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 24. He actually graduated as a civil engineer. My
Wow.
second child, he's 19. He's going to be going into the Marines February 10th.
Congratulations. I
My
saw that in one of your stories.
Yeah, my baby. And my daughter, she's 13. She's, like the little baby, and I get to be there for her. My kids are my life. I mean, I think for every mom, right? Like our
Yes.
kids will always be our life, our passion, our motivation. So, yeah,
That's beautiful. And, I think that I want to definitely expand on your mission on helping, especially women. I personally believe that even if you have a man that is committed to help you and to support you, you still have to build your very own legacy. And it is hard to find, and we're going to expand on that, but there's men that will support you in that too.
oh, absolutely.
But first, I want you to tell us more of your story, your core story. So Ana came to the States. Why?
Well, I was born in California, in the United States. When I was 1 year old, my parents moved to Mexico, and I lived in Mexico for 10 years. So my first language was always Spanish, the culture, like I went to elementary school in Mexico. And then my parents decided to move back to California. So migrating, right? Because even though like I was born here, but migrating from a different culture, country, language, it's a culture shock, right?
How old were you whenever you moved back?
I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
And 12 years old, yes. And I remember that we started going to school, 7th grade. And during that time, none of the ESL classes existed back in the day because I don't know, like honestly, I don't know if maybe not a lot of people were moving back then. I'm not
It was
really
not
sure.
as popular.
It was not as popular.
And just for people that don't know, ESL is English as second language.
Yes, and they have like special classes for kids, right, that don't know the language, but they had to create like a new class for us. I think it was maybe like 13 kids that had started during that year, and they created the class. They pulled an admin lady, like an administrator. She wasn't even a teacher, and she was like, here you go, you take care of these kids, right? They threw us into a classroom. They weren't really teaching us anything, but that was kind of like the beginning of, oh, there's going to be a lot of changes, right? And we got to get used to it. Like life will always be changing, and this is the beginning, and there's going to be challenges, and we got to learn how to overcome them. And my life since has been all about changes. I have lived in, we moved to Vegas in 94. I went to 3 different high schools. I ran away when I was 18. Like, this is like the story, right? Like how everything started molding me. Like I was always very rebellious. So
You were the Ivette in that.
I was the Ivette. The Ivette was coming out already. I ran away from home at 18. I got married at 18 because just thought it was,
You fell in love.
I fell in love. I lived in my car for a few days, right? Because when I first ran away from home, I didn't have a place to go. My husband at the time, an 18-year-old as well, had no place where we were going to go yet. So I ended up sleeping in my car for a few days, right? So things like that mold us into the person that we're going to be becoming, or we will become, right? And I tell my kids this story. Like I tell them everything that we go through life, like everything, our story, everything that has molded us up until the point, it has a reason, right? We have a purpose. And my purpose, I know that has always been like to help women, entrepreneurs get rid of that limitation that it's difficult to acquire whatever we dream of, because it's not difficult. It will be challenging, like anything in life, but we will eventually get there, right? And if we do it together, we will eventually get there sooner.
Absolutely. And then whenever you have somebody to guide you, even better, right?
Absolutely.
So being a single mom, how was that for you? I mean, what really made you stronger what did you learn from that experience of being a single mom?
I remember my first time living on my own with my kids. I was, my youngest must have been 9 months. 9 months, and then my 2 boys. First time living on my own, it was very scary, like, to be honest. Like, I was really nervous because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough money to pay the rent, if I was going to make it. And during that time, I had just started my career in doing mortgage loans. So doing mortgage loans, it's all commission. Like you don't get a salary, you don't get anything, for sure. But you have the ability, right? If we want it, we can go after it, and we have the ability in creating the amount of money that we want.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that first day that before I closed any loans, I remember like I was at home with my kids and I was having a very difficult time financially. And I broke my oldest son's, his little alcancía, like the
Piggyback.
the piggyback. And I believe it was $42 that was in there. And with that, I was able to buy milk, cereal, ham, bread, formula, and diapers. That's what I was able to get. And I remember like looking at myself and I told myself in the mirror, I was like, this will be the last time that this will happen to us.
Okay.
Like I will never, ever put myself in a situation where I'm not going to have money to feed my kids. Right.
It was a commitment
And it was
you
a
made with
commitment.
yourself.
It was a commitment that I made for myself. Like there was no other, I wasn't going to allow myself to fall into any other story. Like I never like went to get help like with food stamps or any of that. And I respect anybody that does, right? It was just, I knew that if I put myself in a situation where I was comfortable, I was going to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm always moving around. That's why I'm always like, like shaking things up, because I don't ever want to put myself in a situation where I'm comfortable, where I don't want to go after my dreams, or I don't want to go after what I know that I can achieve.
Absolutely.
But from that moment, I realized if I can do it, any other woman can, right? Like anybody, like they just want to have like the hunger to go after it, the guts, because it takes guts and courage, and then just do it, right? Like go for it.
Is there any way somebody can start, like, well, you started from zero building, but you had your job, right, as a mortgage, right? So is there any way somebody can say, like, let's say I'm completely broke and then I'm like, I want to invest. Can I do it?
Well, I mean, if you're completely broke, I mean, you do
Maybe
need
not.
some money, right? Like to invest.
I'm like,
How about we start with building a plan on, at least we're not broke anymore, right? We're not broke, but we build a plan where you take care of whatever your necessities are, and then there's additional income that you can put aside for investing, right? There's a huge difference. Like there's a lot of people that talk about savings, right? Like save. I don't have a savings. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have a savings because I'm not going to have money in a bank account that only pays me a 0.01% interest, and the money earns 1 cent a year, right?
wow.
Like it doesn't work. There's money for reserves that, en caso de una emergencia, there's the reserves, but everything, any additional income that I could get, it goes into a property. Like it goes to buy my primary residence or an investment property. That's it, right? And that's how we've been able to acquire properties. But what we've been doing is that if you can't do it alone, right? Like let's say, like, okay, I have $10,000 right now, but it's not enough to buy a property on my own. Okay, let's get 3 women. Now we have 30,000. Or let's get 5 women. Now we have 50,000, and let's go and buy our first property together.
Oh, okay. So you can do it in
now
community.
we can do it in a community, right? Because that's what, honestly, like there's other cultures that do that all the time, right? Like if we look at, I'm gonna say like the Jews, right? Like they support each other. They support each other businesses. That is why they're so wealthy. Because they shop at, their own, like they're always supporting each other in business. And that's why they're able to build, right? As Latinos, I think that's one of the parts that's missing. Like sometimes we don't support each other. Sometimes there's that envy that if you see that somebody's being successful or les está yendo bien, right? Like they're doing it the right way, people sometimes get that negative energy, right? And they don't like that. And I feel that there's enough for everybody. El pastel, the cake, it's big enough. All we need is that spoon, right? Like we don't need to eat the cake mordidas, right? Like we don't need to bite into it. Let's all have a spoon.
Yeah.
The cake is big enough. Like let's all, let's eat. Let's have a piece of the cake. We can all have a piece.
Right. And I feel that now, at least in our side of the world, things are changing. to good, because a lot of Latinos or women entrepreneurs are helping each other and supporting each other in their businesses. So I believe there's also a culture where there is still catty, but I honestly haven't seen it. I think it is because I live in this little bubble where everyone supports each other. But I love the way you said, no, Jackie, if you're broke, you cannot do it. I love how honest you are about it, right? So I feel that the direction that people can take towards a dream is definitely, okay, let's have a plan and we can build a plan together, right? So invest. Let's talk about that. Okay, so we have some money to invest. And you mentioned also about a community, maybe bring it together. But let's say that I want to do it on my own. What are the steps I can take to get it started once I have some money aside?
Well, you would contact me,
Yes.
Ana Morales with Anova Mortgage, and we will set up the plan. Like, okay, what kind of investment you're looking for? Like, are you looking for a short term or long term, right? Like, I focus a lot on properties. So there's a big thing that you can start flipping. I'm sure that you've heard of flipping a property. So that's big right now. There's a lot of people that want to do that, right? Like, you buy a property, you fix it up, and then you sell it for a higher value. That's a short term investment. Long term, we buy a property, we rent it out. You can either rent it like with a tenant, that's going to be a long term tenant, meaning they rent it from you for a year, or you can put this property on Airbnb and it's short rentals, right? Regardless of where you start buying the property or where you start investing in, there's always going to be a return. And that's what we want to know. What type of return are you looking to making your money? Because there's this sense of sometimes people want quick money, right? They want to make like a quick buck. It could happen. I mean, once in a while, right? Like, you make the right property comes along and you can make a lot of money with one property. But a lot of times it does take building. It does take planning. It does take looking more into the future, right? Like we were talking about building generational wealth. You start with one property, and then you go into the second one, and then you sell the first one, you invest that money into a third property. So it's like a chess game. And I always tell myself, I'm playing chess. This is not checkers. I'm playing chess, right? Now, what other property am I going to buy? Like, how much money do I need to get my next property, right? And that's the plan. And then you just repeat it, and then you repeat it, and you repeat it. And a lot of people think that they need a lot of money to do this, and you don't. Like, to buy your first property, a property that you're going to live in, you need 3.5% to 5% down. So we're talking a property of 300,000, you need roughly 10,000, 11,000, like to get your first
Totally
property,
doable.
which is doable, absolutely. And then from there, you want to buy your second property, you rent the first one, then you get 5% down, and you move into the next property. So now you just became an investor. If you were to buy a property straight out as an investor, the bank requires 20% down. So now that same property of 300,000, we're talking 60,000. That's a lot more difficult to come by,
Right.
compared to 10,000.
Correct.
But that's where the process starts, right? And then now we're thinking in 10 years, if you do this every year, now you have 10 properties.
Huh.
That easy.
I love how your brain works. Oh my God.
That
It
easy.
sounds really easy,
Super.
totally doable.
Super.
So, what about these videos that talk about invest with no money? Are they just selling fumes or?
No, I think there's programs. I mean, if we're talking about mortgages and we're talking about buying properties with no money, there's programs out there where, as a first-time home buyer, you can literally buy a house with no money. We just helped a family maybe a couple weeks ago where they came in with $1,500. That's all they had to put down. The seller covered their closing costs. We got them a down payment assistance program, and they literally purchased their house with $1,500. That's how much they needed.
Wow, but that's a house that you need to live in. It's not for investment.
Exactly, yes. So whoever advertises buy an investment property with zero down, there's some
questions.
there's some some stuff that they're probably not doing that they shouldn't be doing.
Right. And so you mentioned there's several ways to do it, like the investment property and how the long, short investments. So in your experience, which one is the best, and maybe for somebody that never done it before, which one is the best one to do? The short investment where you buy and you sell right away after you fix it, fixer uppers, or the other ones where you actually gonna rent and you're gonna pay the mortgage from it?
I think like for people that they have never had a property before, that it's their first time, it should be a long-term property, right? Like a property, like becoming a homeowner, just kind of learning the ropes and what you do, because there's a lot of details that go with it, right? It's not, I don't want to say like it's not easy. It's not. There's challenges, but anybody can do it, right? Like once you get started, you just have to face it, right? Face whatever challenge is coming your way and you get it done. Like that's it, right? Like there's no excuse. Like just get it done.
Just get it done.
Just get it done. But I think once you have like that long-term property, then you can always go into looking for the fix and flip. And then there's other ways. Like there's so much information out there, but it's going to be what's best for you, right? Or what's best for the person that's looking at the video. Like what's going to be like best for them. Because every need is different. Every person wants something different, right? There's people that are a little bit more like high risk. Like for me, like I'm super high risk. Like I don't care. Like if it's, like I'm going, like I'm gonna go for it. And my son, my oldest son, he's 24. I helped him get his first property. He's very step by step, right? He's got one property right now. Oh my God, yeah. He's got his one property. Now he's thinking, should I rent this one and buy the next one? I'm like, yes, do it. You're ready.
Don't think about it.
And he's still thinking about it, right? So it's all what their goals are and what they want to accomplish.
Now that you mentioned your son, you also taught your children how to play this game, the chess game, as you call it. So tell me about that experience. How did you actually sat them down and say, hey, this is what we're going to do and you're going to learn? Because to me, that's very valuable. So that is more valuable than having, to give them a house actually, right? Or a car. Like a lot of people are like, oh, here, there's a gift. This is what you're going to get. But you actually leaving them with knowledge.
Yeah. So the first thing that I tell them is you got to learn how to leverage the bank. Right? Like you got to borrow money to make money sometimes, right? Because sometimes if somebody came and told you like, here's $1 million, yeah, we can make it into 10, probably even more, right? But a lot of times that doesn't happen, right? We got to borrow money in order to make money. So the first thing that I taught my kids is about their credit. Like what do banks look like? What do they look at? How does debt affect you? What kind of debt affects you and what kind of debt doesn't, okay? Because that is the number one thing. If you want to build wealth, if you want to buy properties, if you want to, like, your credit has to be excellent, where you can leverage your credit and then you leverage the banks, you borrow from the bank, you buy your first property, and then you turn it into an investment property. And that was like the first learning that I told them, like, do not get a lot of credit cards. You don't need it. You do not need to owe like a lot of money. Like you don't need it. And this is information that I didn't learn back in the day. Nobody taught me. I had to face it and figure it out on my own, right, as I grew. And as soon as they turned 18, I helped them establish their first credit card, which was a $500 like credit card. And I told them, do not use more than $100 on this credit card ever. Like your balance can never be more than $100. Okay, mom. And then every month, have you made your payment on it? Yes, mother. Okay, perfect, right? So then it took 6 months for them to get a credit score. And by then, they already had 700 credit score. Like my oldest, his credit score is in the 800s.
Wow.
My 18-year-old, my 19-year-old, his credit score is like 724 right now. And that's it. Like they just learn what affects their credit, what doesn't affect. They don't buy anything. Like my oldest has his car paid off. My middle child, I gave him my car. So they don't really need to get any debt, right? I'm teaching them, like, don't get any debt. You have what you need right now. The next step is buy your first property, right? With my 19-year-old, that's our next goal, like for him to be able to buy his next property. But now that he's going to be a VA, that's going to be super easy for him now.
Right. I love this. And, as you said, you didn't know and you have to learn from your own experience. So, but even whenever there's books that tells you what to do and how to do it, sometimes you don't get it until there's somebody like you and said, hey, this is how you're going to do it. Let me hold your hand. So is there any programs? Like I have a 21-year-old and I would love for her to learn all of this because I feel that there is so much that they can learn from such a young age, like us. We learn it on the go, right? But what about the younger generations, like your kids, my children? Is there any type of program maybe you'll provide where you can sit them down and say, hey, we're going to do this together, we're going to build it together?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I will be more than happy, and they do that a lot. A lot of my clients, they have their kids like sit down in our meetings, and then I talk to them about it. I've been able to teach classes like at high school, like for seniors, to kind of like teaching them a little bit about credit, like finances, and just to look forward to the future. And sometimes, at that age, they're like, who
Yeah.
cares, right? Like it's such a long time from now. But I'm glad my kids listen and they're doing, what I told them. And that's what I told them. I told them, I'm not going to be able to leave you a lot of money, right? That's not my mission, but I am leaving you the information so you can build it, so you can continue that legacy for your kids, right? But that's where it starts, like with the credit.
With the credit. So,
With the credit.
and well, your kids follow the direction, and that's beautiful. So, is there any of your children that is like a little hesitant or like, well, I don't care about it right now?
Not yet, but I think my little one, she's probably gonna be like a little troublemaker because I can already picture she's gonna be like, no, I'll just take your property. I was like, really? That's what she said. She's like, oh, I'll just take your car, like the car that I'm driving right now. She's like, I'll just take your car when I start driving, Mom. I'm like,
I don't need to buy a car.
I'll just take yours. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and that is also a very good guidance for single moms, because we don't want to leave our children with debt. We don't want to leave them with anything that will affect them, right? Because we never know. We were talking about how fragile the life is, right? Life is. So we want to leave them with a lot of things that they can actually use, right? So I want to invite you to put a class together.
Okay.
And teach all of us mothers, like sit us down, and maybe the younger generations too, people that are interested, the kids that are like, okay, we have some money and some money aside, so what we can do. So I want to invite you to do that, because it's such a beautiful legacy. That definitely, and I will be there.
It's in the works already, to be honest. Like that,
Oh,
I
good.
feel like that's part of my mission, just for women to have that relationship with money at 100%. And I learned this the hard way, right? I tell myself this. I wish I knew this information back in the day, whatever. But it's never too late, right? That's what I started telling myself. It's never too late to start. Like, it's never too late. Like, yeah, I'm 46, so perfect timing. I have, another 30 years, con el favor de Dios, and then in 30 years, my plan, it's gonna be built, right? Because I'm going one step at a time, one step at a time. And that's what I want to be able to teach women. Like it's, mothers and teenagers, just learn to be in relationship at 100% with money. And let's build it together.
And I love that you mentioned that, because it's not only knowing how to use your money, but also how to have a very healthy relationship with it. And how did you move past your money blocks? How did you detect your money blocks?
I started practicing a lot on what type of conversations I was telling myself, right? I just became conscious on what conversations I was having. And one of the times that I realized, like, okay, what I'm telling myself, it's actually happening. Meaning I can attract a lot of money, right? Like I'm really good at attracting a lot of money, but I'm also really good at attracting emergencies so that money goes away, right? And it's like in and out, in and out. So I started focusing like, okay, who am I being and why am I attracting it, but I'm also rejecting it at the same time? And I think part of what opened up for me was like, what kind of value am I giving myself, right? Because money, it's paper, like it's, but it's an energy. It's energetically like, what value am I giving myself? Because that same value that I can be telling myself like, oh yeah, I love myself. But at the same time, what thoughts am I telling myself? Like I make a mistake, and what is the first thing that sometimes I tell myself? Like, que bruta, right? Or, oh my God, I can't believe you made that. And I start rejecting myself. And that's the same energy that I started realizing that I was doing with money. Exactly the same thing. Money was a reflection of how I was talking to myself as well, right? So I became very conscious of my thoughts. I became very conscious of my words, like what I say. I no longer say trabajar duro, like working hard. No, I enjoy like attracting money into my life, right? I enjoy, and it's an exchange. What value am I giving back to the person that's coming back to me, right? So if they win, I'm gonna win.
I
Right.
love that. So it's that word, working hard. I say a lot, and I did until now that you
And you're
mentioned it. I'm like,
exhausted.
wait, what? And I honestly don't think I have money blocks. I do attract money, I do, but then there's these little details that you don't pay attention to that can be also blocking you to even being more successful, more wealth, right? I love that. Okay, no more working hard.
No
So
more
what is that we need to say?
enjoy like what you do, be in service, just, like relax. I started telling myself that, right? Because one of the things that I caught myself telling, I'm so stressed. I would say that so often. I'm so stressed. And then I caught myself, I'm like, stop saying that. Like, you're not stressed. Like, you're enjoying this. You're choosing this, right? I love what I do. You chose it. Embrace it. Enjoy it. And then just have fun with it. But stop
Okay.
telling myself, right? Like, that's one of the things that I stopped. And this was recent when I caught myself. I was like, why do I keep telling myself that I'm stressed? Like, stop it. Like, you love this. You're going after this dream. You're attracting stuff. Enjoy it. Like, make it fun.
Mhm. I love that. So everything starts with what you tell yourself, the words that you use towards yourself or any, right? I know a lot of people that say, I am so busy. It's exhausting. And I'm like, when people say, because you're so busy, I don't know if you can get me in your calendar. I'm like, it's not that I am super busy. I keep myself busy, and I'm so thankful that I'm busy. And I feel that because after I changed that in my mind specifically, definitely there was a big change in the movement of everything that goes around me.
Absolutely.
So it's not that I am super busy. I keep myself busy because I want
You're
to.
productive.
I'm productive. I like
Yes,
that.
I changed. That was another thing. When people say you're so busy, I'm like, I'm productive. I'm very productive. Like, I put everything in my calendar. Like, I follow my calendar. I say no a lot, a lot. I started saying no because my priorities are like the goal that I set myself financially, but also like my family, right? Like, that's my priorities. So yeah, I'm productive. And if it's not worth my time, then I'm gonna say no.
Right, and that's good. I
There's
feel,
nothing wrong with that.
and that comes with a lot of maturity, right? I think that whenever we are starting in any business, I'm a photography business, you're like, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, but then you learn that not everything is going to work towards your goals. And going back to money blocks and everything. So I want to hear from you. What is that one thing other than talking good to you, like that you can actively do towards working towards attracting more money so you can put it in an investment?
I think it's being in business relationships, right? Like the networking, like who do you know?
I thought you were going to say relationship. I'm like, oh, yay, check. Check.
Well, also who's next to you, right? Like, I think that's
Who you surround yourself.
who you're surrounding yourself with. But I think a big thing is like, yeah, like just that business relationship, the people that you know. And once you start asking, because I think that's one of the biggest fears that a lot of people have, is they don't want to ask because they're afraid of either being rejected or they're going to say no. I am not afraid of rejection at all. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with people saying no, I'm not doing it, but I'm also very persistent, right? And I know a lot of people. And I attract like investors. Like, part of my investors, what I offer my investors is like, look, come and invest in my company and you're going to earn like between a 14 to a 20% return. Nobody does that, right? But that money, we invest it in properties, right? And then we flip it or we keep it long term. And this is like the cycle, right? Like, either that property, when we flip it, I buy it, like for me or for my kids or whatever. And then I pay my investor their return. And now I just have myself a property.
That's smart. Give me some of that.
But it's a win-win, right? Because
Yeah.
my investors are making money. And I ask my investors as well. Like I ask them, what do you want? Like, tell me what you're looking for long term, right? Like 5 years, 10 years. And I keep them in mind as well, right? If I get a good property, it belongs to them, right? Like it's not my turn, it's theirs now. And then we keep doing it together, right? And sometimes we might not see all of the benefits because sometimes we want to see the benefits, like let's say in the first month, the second month. No, it takes time. Let's think like 10 years from now, like you will have it. It's going to be there, but it takes building, right? We got to build it brick by brick. And sometimes I can't lift the brick by myself, so I need people to help, right?
Right.
You might not be able to do it by yourself, and you have plenty of people that are willing to help. And the biggest challenge sometimes is not asking, right? Being too afraid.
Yes, and that's why we have experts like Anna that will actually hold your hand and guide you through the whole process of what buying a house or an investment property is. So I absolutely love this. I really want to talk more about this because I am so intrigued. I've been definitely moving towards that wherever I'm in the position of, okay, well, let's do this, let's invest, but I am completely ignorant on how to do things sometimes, and then this is one of the things, like, and that's why you have me here asking so many questions, because I know nothing, and I love the information that you're sharing. You also have a group of women that is called Ladies in Action, that I am in that group because I love it. She's very positive, very optimistic in there. Tell me about that group.
So we started Ladies in Action, must have been 10 years ago, right? And it started with 10 of us. We would meet at my house and we would meditate. And we would go over what kind of plans we had, like what were our goals, like our business goals, our relationship. And it was all like focused on just being in our zen, being in this having this inner peace, being in our feminine, healing our feminine energy, but at the same time being able to acquire financial goals, right? Like relationship goals. And we did it for a year. And I think in that year, every single one of us, we met all of our goals for the year. One of the, they got so much healing, right? Just the whole, community of being among women, right? Because we need that. Like women, we need that community. We need our tribe. And that's how we started. And I think we met maybe for a few years, and then life happens. Everybody, so we created the group on Facebook, Ladies in Action. And I get to admit, I'm not as consistent in posting, but I'm always focusing on the positive, right? I feel like everyone can get and achieve their dreams. We all can have it all. I'm a huge believer that we get to have it all. Even though sometimes I don't know how yet, but we'll eventually get there.
Find it together.
We'll find it together. But it was with the mission of healing women, right? Healing our feminine, being in community, supporting each other in business, and truly talking like this, authentically, okay, what do we need? What's missing? What's that part that's missing, right? How can I support you? How can I support you in meeting your next goal? And yeah, being that community, helping each other out.
I love the fact that there's several groups, and yours is based on also healing your inner self and then projecting that. Is this only women in business, or you have a variety of people with different goals?
Yeah, there's a variety.
How can they find the group?
It's called Ladies in Action.
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Right now it's on Facebook. I think we're starting an Instagram page. One of my girls, she's actually running it, and it's all in Spanish, that one.
Okay.
But the actual community, it's in Facebook.
And it's in English.
It's in English, yeah.
Okay, so you're bilingual there. And now that we're talking about healing your inner feminine, I remember photographing you several times already, which I love, because every party, every photo shoot is a party with this woman.
With Yvette.
with Yvette, a party with Yvette. And before we go into that, I want to share with you guys that we open the applications for the She Means Business Campaign 2025. And if you want to apply, you can always go to JacquelineAndrea.com. You can go to our Instagram, the She Means Business Masters, with a double S at the end, or you can find us pretty much everywhere on my Instagram. Ana was part of the campaign last year, and I want to hear more about your experience so you can share with people. But before you share your experience about the campaign, I want you to share with us also that path that brought you into being the confident woman you are now. The first photo shoot we had together, remind me, it was 2020, no, before that.
I think so.
Yes,
It was,
maybe 2019 or something,
might have been
2017. The time flies.
I know.
But I remember seeing a big change on you from that first photo shoot to the second, the third. It is amazing, and to me was something very inspiring as well. What I saw the first photo shoot was somebody very not shy, because you're not shy, but you were missing confidence. You were. So tell me that path that brought you towards it.
I think honestly, like I've been focusing a lot on my healing, right? And I know there's a lot of information out there, like healing. What does that mean? I lost my dad 16 years ago. My dad passed away. And then my older sister passed away 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It must have been maybe a little bit
Around the time?
around the time. And obviously, when we don't know that there's something going on with us, sometimes we don't become conscious about it, but we see it in the mirror, right? Like we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, I am not my best version. There's something missing here, right? It could be either like my body, like just something, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like once I started like my healing process, when I finally said, okay, I can't do it alone. I'm not gonna do it alone. I need help. I need, like I asked God, honestly, I asked God and I told God, like, tell me, what do I do? Like, who do I go to? Like, I don't know how to do this on my own, but I know that I'm sad. I know that I'm depressed. I know that unconscious, I wanted to die. And my body and my energy and everything was a reflection of it, right? Mm-hmm. And God started sending the right people into my life and I started healing. I healed my body. Like I got like the surgery, the gastric sleeve, because I was completely overweight. Like I was unhealthy. Like I was pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, fatty liver, like everything. Wow. Like health-wise, I was like, I'm going to die. If I don't do something, I'm going to die, right? And when I prayed and a friend showed up to my office unexpectedly the next day, she's like, guess what? I got the surgery done. You should go and do it.
You were asking for a sign. There's your sign.
And that's the thing. God is so amazing, or the universe, whatever, like you're our creator. The signs are always there. Like, this is why I am so sure now, because I have so much faith that it doesn't matter what challenge I run myself into, because I'm the creator. I'm the one that makes it happen, challenges. Right? Like whatever challenge I run myself into, I will get the answer. I am wise enough. God will always send a sign. It's so amazing when you connect to that faith that you no longer doubt. Like you already know that paso seguro. Like you're going to give a step and it's going to be a sure thing and you're moving towards it.
Wow. So that was your sign towards your big change.
That was the beginning of my big change.
But that was outside, right? That's your appearance. But what happened inside?
Well, the inside, I think it's through meditation. And I did a few trainings. Like I do a lot of like empowerment trainings for myself, to be honest. Like I invest a lot in me, right? Like in my healing and my process and my mental health. I got involved again with Choice Center. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but Choice Center, this is a training that I took maybe like 12, 15 years ago. Yeah, 15, 16 years ago. And after my sister passed away, I went back. I got involved again. And just what it does, like that type of training, it has to do a lot with your emotional intelligence and getting rid of whatever's not working within you, because sometimes I couldn't tell what was. So I needed to shake myself up, right? So that shook me up, and I got rid of, whatever wasn't working in that time. And I started focusing on what I wanted and just going after my goals and achieving them. And then I would make my goals small, right? So every time I would meet a goal, I would be very proud of myself. Like, yeah. And I think that builds the confidence, right? Because a lot of times we want to achieve something so big and we break that promise. And every time we break that promise, it's almost like we're cutting ourselves slowly, right? Like we're punishing ourselves. It's like, well, don't make that goal so big. I mean, if your goal is to eliminate 50 pounds, focus on 5 pounds right now. That's it. Don't focus on 50 yet. Just focus on 5.
Little by little.
Little by little. And then once you meet those 5, then you go again. And then you go again. And every time you celebrate, when you eliminate 5 pounds, you celebrate. You give yourself props. You're like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah,
5 pounds.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
It's the same thing with building money. Like, like focus on $1,000 first.
Yeah,
Okay,
little by little.
I made $1,000 in one day. Ooh, $1,000. Yeah, now do it again. Do it 100 times.
Yes.
Right? And there you go. You keep going. You keep going.
Wow. And then this brought us to Shimin's business campaign. How was that experience for you, being part of the campaign?
Honestly, I loved it. I loved it. It was, at first I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I got chosen. Wow. Okay. I love it. Thank you. Because you know what? Sometimes we don't see ourselves the way that people see us sometimes, right? Like, so for me to be like chosen, it was such a, like, one of those wow moments that it's like, wow, I am making a difference. I am inspiring somebody, right? And it was a very emotional like day for me, like to be in the magazine. Because I don't give myself a lot of credit sometimes, right? I don't stop to give myself recognition, or I don't stop to give myself credit sometimes. I just go and go and go and go because I love what I do. So I go. So for me, this was like, oh, okay, somebody is like watching, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody is looking. Somebody does see. So it was a huge moment for me.
I'm so glad to hear, because one of the main reasons why I started this campaign is because of people like you, and in all honesty, you. So I remember whenever you told me your story, and I remember exactly, it was like Tommy Bahama before a photo shoot, and we were having like a drink or something, and then you started telling me your story, and I'm like, in my head, I was like, why is this not a book? Why is this not everywhere? I was like so inspired by everything you were telling me, what you have to go through in order to get to the confident woman you are. And I remember that day before getting into that bar, I saw you coming with, I think it was a blue dress. I saw you coming walking, and that was after I didn't see you for a while, coming walking, and I'm like, is that Anna? But the way you were walking, the way you were dressed, so confident, such a different person to what I remember.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we created this campaign, because there are so many people that think that their story is not worth telling. And there is so many stories, big companies, small companies, people that are just starting a business, or maybe just have a dream. And I feel that there is where we base this campaign on.
Yeah. And I love it, honestly. Like, I love it. She means business. Like, it's going to impact so many women, and it's going to empower so many women. And I think this is why, like I admire you too. And I've told you this, right? Like, I respect you. I admire like your journey and everything that you have accomplished, because it takes guts to do this. It takes a lot of courage, right? So give yourself a lot of props too, right? And I give you a lot of props.
Thanks.
Because it does take a lot of courage to go after this, go after such a big dream, and empower women, right? Which is what we all should be doing, just empowering each other and,
absolutely,
and supporting each other and supporting each other's business. I love to support your business. This is why I come back every 6 months, I think, or
pretty much
to get new pictures done.
Her pictures are amazing, and every single time are so different. When I crafted your photo shoot for the Shimin's business campaign, I was thinking about, because we already had the fun Ana, we already had the sexy Ana, the corporate looking, the business Ana, and I'm like, no. This time we have to actually take out the mixture between Ana and Ivette, right? Mm-hmm. And it was exactly it. I mean, I was envisioning that session to be the I don't know how to say it in English. So la perra, right? Like,
yeah.
and it sounds so ugly whenever we translate it literally, so don't. But like seriously, like she is like empowered, like business, but also very confident and sensual at the same time in everything in one photo. And I'll share that photo here so you can see what I'm talking about. Very different of what we were accustomed to see you.
Yeah. I think honestly, like, the biggest thing, I think it's just connecting with my creator at 100%, right? Like I am super blessed and thankful. And also connecting with me, right? Like knowing that I am a bitch. Like I know I can get shit done.
That's the right
I
way
can
to
get
say it.
things done, right? Like and even when fear kicks in, because that's something I made my friend already, like fear, I made her my friend. I gave her a name and she's beautiful when
What's
she
her
shows
name?
up.
Can we share?
We'll share it later.
Okay, later.
We'll share her name later because it's
Okay, later.
But when she shows up, right? I thank her like, you know what? Thank you for being here, but I don't need you. I'm still going for it, right?
Love that.
And that's it. And I still go for it. And trust me, there's times where, where I'm against the wall and I'm like, oh my God, ¿cómo lo voy a hacer? Like, what's going to be the next thing that I might not have the answers in that moment, but then I surrender to it and I just let things happen and then they come to me, right? Mm-hmm. And also I gave myself permission for every decision that I make. I don't get to feel guilty anymore. And I don't get to feel like like to doubt myself anymore, right? So every decision that I make, like I accept it. Whether I think it was the right one or maybe I think it was the wrong one, it's still the best decision that I could have made in that moment. And that's it, right? Like no regrets. Move forward.
Yeah. Even if you
it.
fail, you did it.
Exactly. Even if it looks like I might fail, then try it again, right? Try it again until you succeed.
I love that. And that is something that teach us a lot, like this is who we are as entrepreneurs and we always need to own our decisions. Absolutely. And face the consequences. And I get that a lot. Like just recently I did a weird investment and my husband still reminds me to date. And I remember just saying, yeah, but I made the decision. Yeah. So I'm facing the consequences. I'm not crying about it. I'm just whatever I have to do, I'll do it. So, and that's how I live life. And I love the way you live life as well. And please keep inspiring us. Please keep helping women because we need more of that, more guidance towards the future. So how can people find you?
Well, on Instagram, Ana Ivette Morales. I have Anova Mortgage, which is a new Instagram for my company. But Facebook, Ana Ivette Morales. Facebook, Anova Mortgage. I'm on TikTok, Ana Ivette Morales.
So Ana Ivette Morales, they are together everywhere.
Ana Ivette Morales, yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know there's a lot going on in your personal life, and I appreciate you taking the time for being here. I value you and your time and everything you've done to support me because I feel it, I see it, and I'm very thankful. Anything else you would like to add?
You know what? We get to give it with the right intention always, right? Like I want you to succeed. When you succeed, I know that many others will. And if I can support in that, I will, right? Because when you succeed, I will succeed. And that's how it is, right? Tú ganas, yo gano.
And it always comes back.
It always comes back, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ana. I will leave you guys with this. Through love, perseverance, and wisdom, a mother weaves a legacy that empowers her children to dream big and reach for their own stars. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for listening the She Means Business Master Society podcast. We will see you in the next episode.